Have you ever felt?
Are you listening? Damn.
Just out of curiosity, why do they bully? What's the point of it? Why do you find joy in taking innocent people and finding a way to be mean to them? It's not okay.
What do they say to you?
They make fun of my nose. They call me ugly. They say I have no friends.
What'd they do to you at lunch?
Pour milk on me and put a hand down my clothes. Threw bread at me.
Is it just you?
Yep.
Or is it other kids too that feel that way?
Say it's other kids too.
How's that make you feel?
I don't like that they do it to me, and I for sure don't like that they do it to other people, because it's not okay. People that are different don't need to be criticized about it, because it's not their fault. But if you are made fun of, just don't let it bother you. Just stay strong, I guess. It's hard. But it'll probably get better one day.
Hey everybody. Being from the same state as Keaton Jones, I felt compelled to make this video. Keaton, if you happen to see this, it will get better. It will, I promise you that. Your life will get better. Those kids will grow up, and one day they will understand what it is they have done to you. Some of them might even have the heart to apologize to you. I know this from my own experience. I grew up with several disabilities such as ADHD, dyslexia, dysgraphia. Dyslexia and dysgraphia undiagnosed until I was 25 years old. Now finding out one of my children has autism, I wonder if I may have Asperger's, because I do have a lot of symptoms as far as social skills go. And according to bullying statistics, people with disabilities such as mine are at a higher percentage to get bullied, and oh boy, did I ever. Oh, and one of the biggest things I got made fun of was something I really couldn't help. I don't know if you can see this, but like the arch in my foot, it's way too big. I was born with ultra high arches, which causes me to naturally walk on the tips of my toes, and by like 4th, 5th grade, I was starting to be made fun of for the way I talked. For the way I walked. My 5th grade teacher actually had a child that had the same problem, and she was like the best teacher I ever had. She tried to help me learn to walk the right way, and I really didn't get even what she was talking about. I didn't get what anybody was talking about, because to me the way I walked was normal. And by the time I got in 6th grade, it was, what's wrong with you? You walk like you got a tampon shoved up your butt. And that's literally what they would say to me. So I walked like I had a tampon shoved up my butt. So I eventually had a friend tell me that when I walk, it looks like I'm trying to stick my chest out. And I really wasn't. The arches in my feet was too big. I even had to have, like, my parents couldn't afford special shoes, but it was really hard for them to buy shoes for me, because I needed high arch shoes, and most of the time I couldn't get that, and so I wouldn't walk right, and I was severely made fun of for it. And to me, I felt like I was walking right. I would spend hours looking around at the way people walked, trying to figure out how I was walking so much different than them. I never could, and you know what? These days, it don't matter. It don't matter as long as it's not making my back hurt. It don't matter. It's part of me. It's part of what makes me special. It's part of what makes me me. All through school, I had a handful of friends. Depending on the year, anywhere between 1 to 5. All of us outcast. all of us completely and utterly bullied. So when you're in school, it feels like a matter of survival, and a lot of times it kind of really is. Now, I got quite upset about an article that came up in the Knoxville News Sentinel today, where they are trying to deny, at least the principal of his school is trying to deny that this is a prevalent problem. Well, I personally grew up in that school system. It is a prevalent problem. It was a prevalent problem in the 90s when I was there and when I attended. Not only were you picked on by the students, I was personally picked on by several teachers. One teacher, in fact, making a pun out of my last name that to this day I'm too traumatized from it to repeat here. I'm too embarrassed by it to repeat here because it followed me all through school, even at times making me suicidal. This started by a teacher, even sprang an entire song to make fun of me. And by second semester of my 11th grade year, the bullying I was going through was so bad, I actually dropped out of school over it. I 150% dropped out of high school over bullying. That's how prevalent it is in Knox County schools. So I understand where you're coming from. And I just want to say to you, if you were to ever see this, it'll get better. My life got better. One day you will get out of school and none of that's even going to matter. You probably won't even see half of those jackasses ever again. Excuse my language. Now, my own thoughts on bullying and some things I've read about child psychology and bullying. I've been in several arguments since yesterday on this subject on my Facebook. There are parents that wish to actually jail the parents of students that bully. I am completely against this. Unless it is to a point to where it can be proven that this child is bullying due to some form of neglect by that parent, I am against this. And I'm going to tell you why. For one, if you jail the parent without punishing the child, all that's going to do is set that child up to believe they can do whatever it is they want, because they're not going to have to face the actions of, because they're not going to have to face the consequences of their actions. No, mommy and daddy will. So I can do whatever I want. They're the ones going to get in trouble, not me. Number two, we are talking about a truly devious child, whether it be because of mental illness or abuse or whatnot, mental illness, something like that. And this parent has done everything they truly could to try to help. But their child is truly devious, and maybe even their child is truly devious. This law could actually be used against them. And what I mean by that, you ground your child. Okay, I'm going to go get mom and dad back. I'm 16 years old. I don't want to be grounded. I'm going to go bully some kids and get them thrown in jail. It's hard to, once you grow up, I guess it's hard to remember the way you thought as a teenager, but there was a lot of teenagers that thought this way, that would have loved to get back at their parents in one way or another. Why? Because you don't have long-term reasoning at that age. Long-term reasoning doesn't grow in until you're about 25 years old. It's one of the very last parts of the human mind to develop. So they don't understand what it is that they're doing to their parents if they were to do something like this. So this is something that can be used against said parents who are just trying to help. You try to put that child in psychology, and you try to put that child in therapy, and he don't want to go to therapy, or she don't want to go to therapy. Okay, I'm going to go bully and get my mom thrown in jail. That way I don't have to go to therapy. So we can't completely blame the parent in that way. There are a lot of very good parents that have, say, 3, 4 children. 3 of those kids turn out great. 1 of them don't. It's not always the parent's fault. I'm not saying take away responsibility from the parent either. Child psychology shows that bullying itself is a kind of powerhouse. It's a way for a bully to try to take their victim and feel a sense of power over them to gain something like social status. Although other articles, if you look into it, other articles say that the bullies that show the most physical abuse towards their victims are often victims of abuse in their home. So there's a lot that goes into this. It's not as simple as lock them up in juvenile, lock them up in jail. If it were, then when these kids went on Dr. Phil, that's what he would do. But he doesn't. Maybe it's just me. I do watch a lot of Dr. Phil. But my opinion on the matter is if we really want to do something about bullying, behavioral therapy is the key. We have to get down to the root of the problem, find out why the children are bullying, what it is that's causing them to want to cause such harm in others. Is it that they just find it funny? No, I don't think so. There's got to be some sort of underlining cause. They might have a mental illness. They might be being abused. It might be as simple as they have very low self-confidence. For any of those things, though, therapy is needed. If we really want to do something about bullying, therapy is the absolute key. That's why it's there, to figure out why people act the way they do. Everyone acts the way they do for a mental reason. There is some sort of thinking process behind every little thing you do. So that's why when you see these kids and they go on Dr. Phil, he ends up doing something like sending them to that ranch that he sends kids to for, behavioral therapy. Behavioral therapy is key. Now, if the school has talked to the parents and told them this needs to be done, your child needs therapy, he's bullying, because I know for a fact, I have children that I am helping raise children that their mother passed away, and they need therapy. Due to that, they're not bullies, some of them actually get bullied, but they need therapy, so I know for sure that Tennessee schools, through Helen Ross McNabb, can offer therapy services. I know this for sure. I know it for sure. So, the ability to help is there. Now, if these kids are bullying and they need therapy and the parents have been alerted to this and they're just doing absolutely nothing about it, and it's not something like, oh, I just couldn't afford to do it. It's just they're not doing anything about it. Form a case on neglect, and maybe they can go to jail for neglect, for not doing anything about their bullying child. But other than that, the only thing that's going to solve it is therapy. And if you ask anybody that's been to jail, that's been to juvenile, spent any amount of time in places like that, they will tell you all jail and juvenile will do to these kids is make them better liars, harder criminals, and hook them up with gangsters. Because that's where these gangs are prevalent. And they're going to go in there and they're going to get hooked up with worse kids than who they are, and it's going to make them a worse bully. As a matter of fact, when they get out of jail, they might just go and decide to take this out on the child that put them there. And when I was in school and somebody at school got in a fight and got put in juvenile, they automatically got popular for this. They become the badass at school. They got to go to juvenile, or that went to juvenile, and they roughed it out. And the kids that have never been to juvenile, a lot of them became scared of them, which does nothing but help give bullies power. By inducing fear, by saying, hey, I've been to juvenile, you haven't, I'm a badder ass than you because I made it through this, and you've never even been there, you have no clue. This child already fears the bully because they've heard they've been to juvenile and survived. Because, as a grown-up, juvenile is not that big of a deal. To a kid, that is a scary place. That is a very scary place, and the kids that survive it are badasses. Badasses to be feared. Alright? I know because I was one of those kids. I was one of those very fearful kids that didn't know how to stand up for myself. Okay? And I definitely would not be going and trying to go up against or, like, be able to stand up for myself against somebody that had been to juvenile for fighting or bullying or whatever, because they're willing to go to jail for this. You know, what else are they willing to do? I can't stand up against that. That's how it's going to make their victims feel, you know? And that just doesn't do anything. When you introduce, you know, therapy into the mix, though, the psychologist can help them get to the root of their problem. Were they abused? Were they molested? What's going on with them, you know? Could it be something worse? You know, is there a problem now? Are they a product of divorce? You don't know. Everyone's fighting their own battle that you can't see, and you don't know what that bully's might be. Now, I know it might sound crazy as a person that used to get bullied, standing up for the bully, and that's not what I'm trying to do here. I'm not trying to stand up for the bully at all whatsoever, and I want that understood. I'm not standing up for the bully. I'm just being real with what's going to solve the problem and what's going to make it worse, from my own life experiences and from what I have read about child psychology. That's my take on it. Children need behavioral therapy, and if that means having to go away to a place like the ranch that Dr. Phil sends kids to for behavioral therapy, then that's what needs to be done. And if that's what we're going to do, then we need to implement more behavioral therapy places for low-income families too, not just for the rich people. We need to make this accessible to all classes of people, okay? And we need to have more facilities, because like that ranch is like all the way in Florida. I don't even know of a place like that in Tennessee. A behavioral therapy place where kids can go and stay for like 6 months and learn to straighten out their life. There might be a place like that in Tennessee, but I've never heard of one. I could be wrong. I mean, I don't know everything, and I don't claim to. But we certainly do need more places like this, because juveniles are not going to do it. Behavioral therapy will. If you agree with me on this, leave me a comment down below. If you don't, leave me a comment down below and tell me why. This is just my opinion. I'm not trying to piss anyone off here. It's just my opinion on, it's just my take on the whole situation. And quite honestly, I deal with children who are bullied every single day. Okay? Every single day I watch my own kids go through this. And actually, from what I've been told, it's already illegal to sue the parents of a bully. Okay? So, there's always that. You can sue them. And I know you might be able to say, yeah, but, you know, the parents of a bully shouldn't have to do this. Well, when you accuse somebody of something in a court of law, it is also your job to prove that they did what you said that they did. Okay? The burden of proof is on you, even when it comes to bullying. So the option to sue is there, but you as the parent have to take the responsibility to follow through with the steps of doing that. It's not up to the school. Just like people who want parents jailed say it's not up to the school to control bullying. It's not up to the school to prosecute your kid's bully either. It's up to you. Take responsibility for your child and sue the bully's parents. That you can do that in state of Tennessee. At least you could a couple of years ago when that was suggested to me for my own kids who were being bullied. I was told by the school system if I really wanted to do something about it, I could sue the bully's parents. I didn't do that. I found out the bully lived in my neighborhood. I went down to the bully's house. I talked to the bully's mother, and that was not easy because I live in an all-Latino neighborhood. And she spoke Spanish and very little English. But we were able to get through that language barrier and talk. And she explained to me that her son had very deep-seated anger issues and was in therapy. and she had to talk with her son because I was brave enough to go to her. I didn't put it on social media. I didn't call the cops. I was brave enough to go to that mother and say, hey, our kids have a problem. Okay? That problem stopped. That problem stopped when I alerted the parents. I didn't leave it up to the school to alert the parents. I went and alerted that parent. I found out where that kid lived. I went to the house. I took care of the problem, and the problem stopped. That's how it was done when I was a child. These days, we call the police, we put it on social media, and we don't actually go over, try to talk it out with the parent, and do something about it. And that's just an option. Do that. You might get closer to your neighbors. You might find out this bully has a deep-seated problem. You might inform the parent of something they had no clue was even going on. I know the boy that was bullying my child, his mom had no clue. His mom had no clue everything he was putting my child through until I told her. Once she found out, problem stopped. She put a stop to that problem. It was also nice to know that that bully was getting help, getting therapy. And when I went home and I told my son everything that she had told me, it made him go, oh, and actually understand his bully and his bully stance, and kind of gave him something, try to start a conversation with him about when the bullying started. Because that's what happened. The bullying would start, and he'd just be like, I understand you're going through stuff. And it kind of stopped it because he's calling him out. We have to give our children the tools to deal with life. It's our job. And it's our job to take responsibility, make sure the bully's parents knows what's going on so they can seek therapy for their child. So if you don't know their problem exists, and I'm sorry, but living where I live, I know the school system here is not the best with making sure the parents stay informed. And that's just my opinion on the whole situation there. So therapy, behavioral therapy, and if you're out there and you see this and you're being bullied, it'll get better. It will. It'll get better. You'll grow up, and this crap won't mean anything to you anymore. I promise. Like this video, subscribe to my channel, hit that little bell button if you want to see more from me. I'll see you next time. Peace.
Have you ever felt?
Are you listening?